Level 1, the peasant. You're 19. You live in a village outside Lyon. The harvest came in thin this year. Same as last year, same as the year before. You owe the landlord a fifth of what grew. You owe the church a tithe on top of that. You owe the crown its gabelle, the salt tax, which means the salt you need to preserve the meat you need to survive is taxed before it reaches your hands. You earn almost nothing. You spend almost everything on bread. Bread costs more this month than last. The baker isn't greedy. The grain merchants are hoarding. The crown is printing. You don't know the word inflation yet. You just know that the same coin buys less than it did in spring. Your father paid these taxes. His father paid them. You will pay them until there is nothing left to pay with. One night, a man from Paris passes through and says the word that changes everything. Enough. Level 2, the street agitator. You're 22. Paris. The Palais Royal is burning with pamphlets and speeches. You carry a pike. The grain depot on the Rue Saint-Denis hasn't opened in 3 days. The purchasing power of every lever in your pocket dissolves by the week. You don't own gold. Nobody in your neighborhood owns gold. You own paper money the crown issued, and nobody trusts. You overturn a merchant's cart. You are not ashamed. The merchant was selling bread above what any working man could afford. You have heard that aristocrats are hoarding silver. You have heard that the Treasury is empty. You have heard that more notes are being printed to cover debts that can never be repaid. You shout. The crowd shouts back. The momentum feels like power. You don't yet know that the men who will inherit this moment have already planned what to do with you when you're no longer useful. Level 3, the confiscation clerk. You're 25. The National Assembly has nationalized church property, biens nationaux, national assets, seized to back a new paper currency called the Assignat. You are the man with the ledger, cataloging gold candlesticks, silver crucifixes, abbey land deeds. You tell yourself this is rational, asset-backed fiat currency, a monetary reset. The Assignat will hold value because land is real. The debt will stabilize. You write the numbers. You don't ask what the priests said when they handed over the chalices. Some of them wept. You kept writing. By year's end, 400 million livres in assignats are circulating. The presses are already asking for authorization to print more. Level 4, the press overseer. You're 28. You manage a printing house in the Marais. The rollers run 16 hours a day. You smell hot metal and ink in your sleep. The committee sends requisition orders, denominations, volumes, emergency issuances. You execute them. You know what mass money printing does to purchasing power. You have watched it happen in real time, week over week, like watching a man bleed slowly. The assignat issued at 100 livres now trades at 60, then 40, then 22. Your salary is paid in assignats. Your savings are hidden, hard silver, coin you accepted from a merchant who needed a favor. You tell no one. You watch the currency collapse like a man standing at a window watching his neighbor's house burn, grateful only that the wind is blowing the other way. Level 5, the grain commissioner. You're 31. You ride with soldiers now. Military requisition orders authorize you to enter any farm and seize wheat for the war effort at state-fixed prices. The farmers see you coming and hide what they can. You find it anyway. Buried barrels, false walls, cellars beneath cellars. You issue the seizure receipts. The farmers will be compensated in assignats, which are worth less than the paper they're printed on. You have signed enough of these to know you are not feeding an army. You are liquidating the rural economy and calling it patriotism. The farmer's face when you leave does not haunt you. You've learned not to look back. Level 6, the price controller. You're 34. The law of the maximum caps every commodity price in France. Your job is enforcement. Merchants who sell above the cap are arrested. Some are executed. The black market is everywhere. It has to be. The controlled price is below the cost of production. Foreign gold reaches you in a velvet pouch through a middleman who works out of a wine shop on the left bank. You accept it. You look away from certain transactions. You are not the only one. The entire enforcement apparatus runs on selective blindness, funded by the currencies you've sworn to destroy. At night, you lock the pouch in a box and don't think about the merchant you sent to the tribunal last Tuesday. Level 7. The liquidation deputy. You're 38. You trade political immunity for equity stakes in nationalized arms manufacturers supplying the revolutionary armies. Asset liquidation at scale. Corporate shares change hands in back corridors before sessions begin. You are past ideology now. The assignat is a fiction everyone maintains because the alternative is admitting the state is insolvent. You maintain it too. You vote for emergency issuance. You vote for debt restructuring that restructures nothing. You hold hard assets and paper over the ledger with fresh currency. The hyperinflation is a policy now. It is no longer an accident. Level 8, The economic director, you're 43, windowless briefing rooms. The ledger in front of you shows Assignats trading at less than 1% of face value, total monetary collapse. The currency has been debased into worthlessness by 5 years of unchecked money printing, war financing, and debt monetization. You present different numbers to the committee. You have learned to find the data points that still look defensible and build a story around them. It is not difficult. Every man in the room needs to believe it as much as you need to tell it. You go home and sit at a table and eat cold soup and understand that you have spent years managing the largest fiat currency failure in European history, and your name will appear in no honest account of it. Level 9, the Supreme Controller. You're 49. You hold the Treasury. You are inside a fortified building in the capital with ledgers showing asset seizures totaling 3 billion livres and a currency worth nothing. The central bank is a rumor. Hard money has fled to England, to Amsterdam, to anywhere that isn't here. Your wife wrote twice. You didn't send for her. Safer that way. You tell yourself that. The general outside controls the army. You control the numbers. The numbers say the revolution consumed itself and left a debt no generation will fully repay. You sign the final authorization. Your hand is steady. You stopped feeling the weight of signatures years ago. 44 years since you were a boy in Lyon watching your father hand over salt money he couldn't spare. You gave up the village. You gave up the harvest smell and the sound of a river you never returned to. You gave up the woman who waited 2 years before she stopped. You gave up honest speech, replaced it so completely with calibrated language that you no longer know what you actually believe. You carry a private ledger of every asset seized, every currency lie endorsed, every merchant destroyed for selling bread above a number someone invented in a Paris committee room. You traded human trust for fiat money. The money is gone. The trust never recovered. Somewhere outside the capital, in a field that smells like wet soil and wood smoke, a boy of 19 pays his taxes. A stranger passes through and tells him the system is broken. The stranger hands him a pamphlet. The boy reads it slowly, lips moving, and something behind his eyes changes. The debt compounds. It always compounds.